in her book Ecofeminism, Maria Meiss writes that she believes that both conservatives and liberals are mistaken in their perspective on reproductive rights. Of conservatives, she writes that the birthing parent is tend to be seen as a container, a vessel, that the fetus within that parent has total inalienable rights by itself, and therefore that parent is essentially irrelevant. Whereas of liberals, she suggests that the position is similar but different. My body, my choice implies it's totally up to that birthing parent, or that parent holding the fetus. And Maria Meiss writes her belief that both are in fact mistaken, and that there is a symbiotic relationship between the parent and the fetus. And that is the reason why the parent has the choice what to do what in terms of reproductive rights, because they are the only person who is part of that symbiotic relationship. We can argue about reproductive rights, we can discuss it, we can even look at Torah verses, we can look in Exodus chapter 23. In fact, you can listen to my podcast where the Archbishop and I get into a very interesting conversation about reproductive rights. And we start discussing this biblical text of Exodus 23, and he reads it totally differently to how I would read it. And we clash in a respectful way. We can talk about text, we can talk about whose right it is. Ultimately, I think most people have their own perspective when it comes to reproductive rights. For me, the perspective is certainly similar to that of Maria Meiss, that if a person is in a symbiotic relationship with someone, then they are responsible, especially if they are the responsible carrying party. They are the one who gets to determine what happens in that relationship. And we must protect the rights of those who need, for example, to have abortions, who medically have to have an abortion. So while some people may choose, some people have to have one out of necessity, and it really is essential for us to protect individuals who have that medical need. And so this coming Shabbat is Repro Shabbat. That's the Reproductive Rights Shabbat. And in temples all across America, Reform temples in particular, we are inviting speakers. And we're going to be very lucky at Temple Beth Shalom to have Joan Lamanian Sanford, who is the Executive Director at the New Mexico Religious Coalition for Reproductive Choice. She's also been on my Soul Searching radio show. I really encourage you to listen to that episode, particularly when she really describes very clearly abortion is healthcare. We can talk about reproductive rights, we can talk about the rights of the fetus, we can talk about the rights of the parent. At the end of the day, one thing we can all agree on, hopefully, is the need for prayer. Prayer is responsive, creative assessment of a situation. It is trying to understand where we are in a situation. And that doesn't mean that we have to agree with every single prayer that is recited. In fact, very often prayer is what happens after we hear someone else read a prayer. Prayer is that which is within, lehit palel, to judge oneself, to reflect on where we are. So this Repro Shabbat gives us an opportunity in our Shabbat service to reflect on where we are. And so today, instead of necessarily talking about this right or that right, what I want to do is to share a prayer. This is a prayer for those who have had or who have aided an abortion. And it's written by Rabbi Stephanie Crawley from Washington, D.C. Misha Berach Imotenu, God of our mothers, bless these brave ones who stand before you. Be with them now, as you were with our mothers. God of Sarah, who aided her to have a child when she wanted it, because she wanted it. Be with them now. God of Rachel, who suffered and suffered for a child and then died while giving birth. Ensure that no one is forced into that same reality. Be with them now. God of Dinah, do not abandon us when we have had our bodies stolen from us through violence and subjugation. Be with them now. God of Yocheved, the mother of Moses. Help us all maintain the ability, to bring children into the world only when we want to, only when we've decided that the world is right. Be with them now, God of Hannah, who thought she only had worth because of her womb. Teach us all to see our value in our wholeness. Be with them now. Bless their holy bodies, and bless their decisions, the ones they had the ability to make, the ones they fought to make possible, the ones that stood against immoral legislation, and the ones made in the embrace of freedom. May they always know agency and dignity and love. May this community never fail to rise in support and be with those who stand beside them in courage, who lend their voices and their funds, who drive to clinics and accompany them inside, who shout over protesters, who ensure care and safety. Be with them now, and be with us all now. Give us the strength to fight back and continue supporting women. Help us create systems of justice that serve every person, that center the souls that belong to bodies that others seek to ban. Help us build a new, just world, a world birthed of freedom and care. We invite you to join us this evening for our Kabbalat Shabbat service, where Joan Lamagnon-Sanford, the Executive Director at the New Mexico Religious Coalition for Reproductive Choice, will be giving us the sermon. And I wish you Shabbat Shalom.